Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang, and welcome to Roll Mangging for some Call of Cthulhu stuff. This was supposed to be kind of our Halloween special. We did it a bit early because Ziggy is going to be out of town in Paris for Halloween, so we bumped it up a little bit. And so this was a 1/2 shot that was run by Ren, and it was actually set in 2010. Was the setting of the adventure. So we used technically Call of Cthulhu Modern. What's the difference? Pretty much nothing. The only difference really is that you can put computer use on your character sheet. That's really about it. It's basically the same system because it's kind of fairly flexible. They just needed to include computers, and that was... So there you go. If you're wondering what was different from now back to the 20s, we just have computers now. That's the difference. There's going to be differences aside from just the mechanics of kind of like what's available to characters as far as like weaponry or gadgets or things like that. But as far as just straight mechanics go on your character sheet, not too big of a difference. And so all of our characters were heading out to this kind of very small town village in Pennsylvania, I believe, for various reasons. And we had 5 players for this session, which was pretty cool. We had Ziggy, of course, myself. We had Charlie Chalk, which was nice. We had Jin and Henry, both of who had never played Call of Cthulhu before. They got the crash course. And so... yeah, this is my second time getting to play Call of Cthulhu. My second time. Every other time I have run it, so I was pretty excited. And both times I've played, it's been a Ren one-shot. And so I don't think one-shots are really a good indicator of how Call of Cthulhu is supposed to be. So I hope one day to actually play in a large, long, spanning campaign where I actually get to like go to a library and do research or something to that effect. But it's better than nothing. And so the character that I decided to play is named Sloopy Dunbar. Okay, so Sloopy Dunbar, the inspiration originally came from an episode of Mad About You, which is near and dear to my heart. I know that's a very weird place to draw character inspiration from. But it's from a season 3 episode of Mad About You, in which basically they're doing like a big sale for Paul's father's sporting goods store, and Jamie is like trying to PR the whole thing, and she wants to get a celebrity to come in and like autograph things and stuff like that. So she asked Paul, like, who is the greatest athlete of all time that I can get for really, really cheap? And Paul just says, that would be Sloopy Dunbar. And so in the episode, Sloopy Dunbar is played by Charles Hallahan. And in the episode, he's really just kind of an asshole. His character is meant to be just kind of a dick. But it is kind of funny. And the name was really what kind of always stuck in my head. But he's kind of a former baseball player. And so I was like, okay, I want to make a former baseball player. But and he's a former player because he screwed up. He fucked something up in like the World Series or something like that. So he's no longer a baseball player. He's doing something very mundane, and he's like charges outrageous prices for his autographs just so he can pay the bills. And so yeah, Ren basically assigned all of us a occupation for our characters, and we just kind of had to make a character based on that. So I was originally assigned mechanic, but I didn't feel like that made a lot of sense that Sloopy Dunbar would go out of the major leagues and become a mechanic. So I swapped with Henry and I got mailman. I figured that made much more sense because now he's getting into like Newman territory and it's perfect. And so I toned down the dickishness. I didn't want him to be an asshole because I don't really like to play asshole characters. And I kind of upped the incompetent part of his character. So yeah, he basically took too many baseballs to the head, and he's a bit addled, you might say. And he works as a mailman. He charges for autographs. I kept that in, and yeah, he's going to this little village to visit his cousin Charlie. And so yeah, he's probably the dumbest character that I ever played, but I think that's okay in Call of Cthulhu. So then his voice was pretty unique, I guess. I kind of made him talk like, "Oh, I'm Sloopy Dunbar. How's it going? Oh, well, yeah, if you want me to sock a few dingers for you, I could do that." They basically talked like that the entire session, and I took inspiration for the voice. See, this is funny. I took inspiration for his voice from a Seinfeld episode where Jerry's girlfriend leaves a message on his answering machine. Or no, she calls him and he's just like, "Hey, it's me." And he's trying to figure out, he's shocked that she would think that he would recognize her voice already. So he calls her and just says, "Hey, it's me." And she doesn't recognize him. She thinks it's her friend. And so he plays along and he does a voice basically exactly like that. And she thinks it's her friend. It's humorous. So I don't know why that voice apparently stuck with me. So I combined the two sitcom worlds. And that's what we got. I think I originally intended to do a voice more close to the original Sloopy. But I guess because I wanted to play up the incompetent factor, I went with a bit slower in the head voice. Anyways. So, yeah, I was playing Sloopy Dunbar. Ziggy was playing Reginald LaGrasse, who is a kind of a small-town cop. Charlie Chalk was playing... Shit, let me check. Rocky Vane, who is a private eye. Jin was playing Donathan Salazar, who was a medical student. And Henry was playing as... Let me check. Arthur Bishop, who was the mechanic. And so everyone had kind of their own personal reasons for coming here, but we're all in the same bus, and we all kind of ended up together. We were all put together as one group as shit went down, so that worked out well. And so we roll into town. We're the only people on the bus. And the bus lets us off where at at the edge of 45-minute walk from the town. And apparently we're supposed to catch another bus to actually go into town. I don't know why that's a thing, but okay. So we're all standing there waiting for the next bus and it never shows up. And so there's a phone booth nearby, so Sloopy checks that out and I get a hold of the operator and it's just "Hey, it's Sloopy Dunbar, and there's no bus here, so what's going on with that?" And we find out that apparently there was an accident at the bus station, and so there will be no more buses this evening. So just walk. So we all start walking together on our way into town, and we notice that this fog starts kicking up. A fog. And yes, if it sounds like Silent Hill already, it's about to get a lot more Silent Hill. And so as the fog kind of builds up around us, "Hey guys, do you see that fog?" the fog builds up, and we come across a police car that has nobody inside of it, and the passenger door is wide open. And so we kind of poke around there. We find the keys, but the car does not work, and the engine is like completely rusted. So that's not going anywhere. But we pop open the trunk, and we find a shotgun. So that's good. We now have a shotgun. All Sloopy has is a baseball bat and some baseballs. That is what he brought with him, because he wanted to play, he wanted to suck a few dingers for my cousin Charlie. Just play catch or something like that. So we grabbed the shotgun and we kept on moving. Actually, I think we tried the police radio and we couldn't get through to anybody, but we heard the other end. We heard like the dispatcher talking about a 187 at the school. And 187 is, I think it's only really used in the California police system, from what I've read. But in kind of pop culture and things like that, and gang terms, it kind of goes a bit more widespread. I only knew it because I listen to rap, so I know of these things. So I knew it refers to a murder. So we're like, okay, some shit's going down at the school, but Sloopy doesn't want any part of that. The cop kind of wants a part of that, but, he's got to look after us first. So we keep moving on, and we don't get very far when we see kind of a trail of blood leading off the side of the road. So, of course, we investigate, and we find a car that is kind of skidded off the side of the road and went into a lake. And it's kind of partially submerged in the lake. And the blood trail seems to go up onto the car, onto the trunk. And so we managed to get the trunk open, and we find that it is just a giant pool of blood. It is there is depth to this pool of blood. And so that's not good. And there's something kind of black sticking out of the pool of blood. And so our medical student deduces that it is apparently a body bag. And so Reginald, the cop, asks to see my baseball bat. And I'm like, I don't know about this. This is one of my favorite bats. He's like, he's just like, it'll be fine. Just let me see it. This is police work. And so, obstruction of justice, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, oh, all right. And so he pokes the body bag with the baseball bat. And the baseball bat gets sucked into the car and is gone. Because of supernatural Silent Hill bullshit. And so now Sloopy Dunbar has lost his favorite bat. Or one of his favorite bats. All thanks to Reginald. So that's nice. That is nice. So now I hold a grudge against Reginald because he lost my bat. My bat. So then Rocky is sick of this bullshit, so he goes over to the trunk and he fires off a couple rounds of his revolver to kind of put a hole in the bottom of the trunk to let all this blood seep out. And it works, but basically the bottom of the trunk falls out completely, and so we all just get up to our knees in blood. It was a supernatural amount of blood was in this trunk. And my bat was nowhere to be found. The body bag was nowhere to be found. Just blood. And then the blood kind of made a weird kind of turn and then seeped into the lake. So that was good. So we're like, well, let's get out of here. And I'm like, oh, my bat. Oh. And we got back onto the road. And we continued walking through the foggy, empty town. It's very Silent Hill, I know. And we come across a church that has the light. A light is on in the church. So we're like, oh well, you see that? You see a church? There's a light on. Maybe somebody's home. So we go into the church, and we don't see anybody, of course. And we try to look around, and Sloopy is like, oh well, we should split up and take a look around. I'll try to find if there's a cellar. So we kind of split up, but really it was not a grand church. There wasn't much to it. But Sloopy did find the collection plate for the church, and it had $60 in it. Which, this isn't $60 in 1920s. This is $60 in 2010, which is not an incredible amount. But Sloopy said, oh, well, God takes care of the poor, I guess, so yoink. And he pocketed that shit. Hey, man, he's on hard times. He's delivering mail. Man, he was in the World Series. And we didn't really find anything, so Sloopy blew out the candles in the church because that was the light and nobody was home, so why keep the candles lit, and we headed out. And then as we're walking away, we smell something kind of burning, and it's coming from behind us, so we all turn around, and we see that the church is changed a little. It now has no windows. It keeps the same basic shape, but it has no windows. And there is writing above the giant kind of double big doors. And the writing says, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Which, if you don't know, that is the quote that is in Dante's Inferno, the story, the book of poems, I guess. That is the quote that is above the gates of hell. Alright, it was part of the quote that was above the gates of hell. It's the part that everybody remembers. And I've read Dante's Inferno, and I can't really recommend it. I would rather read Ready Player One. But I guess those are a little different. Anyways, so we're like, well, that's interesting. And around this door, there were like 4 indentations the size of like plates. And we could not get the doors to open. And so we're just like, well, okay, let's keep moving. So we keep heading into town. And so we get into the town proper now. And they want to go to the police station. Oh, hold on. Okay. They want to go to the police station, and I want to go to my cousin's house, because that's why I came here. I want to check on him, make sure he's okay. So we decided to split up, and then like a minute after they started walking towards the police station, Sloopy realized that Charlie's house is on the same way as the police station. So I went after them, and finally I caught up with them. I should mention a small detail, I guess. I think like right after we left the bus station, I mentioned socking a few dingers, and so I took out a baseball and I hit it with my bat, and I rolled really well. I think I rolled like a 6. It was pretty damn good, and the ball just went straight up into the air and didn't come back down. And so I'm like, oh yeah, that's the Sloopy special. Okay, so we started walking on, and we finally come up to like a giant like chasm in the road. I guess it was like just a big crevice. And Sloopy said, "Oh, wow, what a hole." And I think the police station was on the other side of it or something like that, but Charlie's house was like right before it. So we all went into Charlie's house. The door was locked, and he was not responding. So I think Rocky looked under the doormat, and there was a key there. So we went in, and there was a note left there for Sloopy that said that he had to go out, but there's beer in the fridge. And so, there's beer in the fridge. And so Sloopy grabbed the beer and he sat down in front of the TV, and the TV like came on its own, and we could like just barely make out the image of somebody swinging a bat. And so Sloopy says, "Oh, good, the game's on." Like, this is really where I just kind of turned up the incompetence factor, because I was just having too much fun with it. It's like the 100% opposite of Artemis, so I can play both ends of the spectrum, I guess. And so, so we could barely kind of make out the image of somebody swinging a bat, but the image started to kind of focus. Instead of it wasn't really like a baseball game. It was somebody apparently beating somebody else with a bat. And the sound that was coming through the speakers was like somebody actually beating somebody with a bat. Like, it was the sound of wood on flesh. And somebody like mentioned this, and he's like, Sloopy's like, "Oh yeah, that's the Yankees have no respect for the sport." And I think like the medical student, Jin, like he just like curls up on the couch in like a fetal position, and Sloopy's just like, "Oh yeah, just lay down there, and then I'll tell you all about the game of '84. Just everybody else is just like horrified by this sound and the image that's going on, and Sloopy is just completely oblivious. And so finally, like, I think somebody tried to turn off the TV, but it wouldn't turn off. So then Rocky tried to actually shoot it with his revolver, but due to a very unfortunate roll, his revolver jammed. So, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm trying to watch the game. I got my beer." And so then, like, static from the TV starts like pouring out of the television into the room. And of course, Sloopy's like, "Oh, you must have bought one of those new 3D TVs." God, it's funny. And so everybody else is like running out of the house and stuff. And Sloopy's like, I'm trying to watch the game. But I wasn't ready for Sloopy to die just yet. So I did leave. So we're back outside of the house. We didn't really accomplish anything. And I'm not really sure what happened with the crevice or the giant crack in the ground. Because we did get to the police station. And around this time, like, I think we were all kind of got, like, migraines, apparently, at various moments, and Ren was messaging us privately with, like, new information about, like, because apparently, like, we didn't remember much when we arrived into town. Like, we had, like, a temporary case of amnesia, and so we only remembered, like, the briefest hints of why we came here. Like, all I knew was I was coming here to visit my cousin, but I didn't know why. And so we were kind of getting more information. And so I got a flash of information that I was apparently on the run from the cops for some reason. And I was coming here to lay low with my cousin. And so they were all about to go into the police station. And I figured, I better not. I'm on the run from the cops. Usually when you do that, you don't go into police stations, because that's crazy. Even Sloopy knows better than that. So I'm like, oh, well, you guys can go on ahead. I'll wait out here. And Arthur Bishop also decided to stay outside with me, but the others went inside. So their trip inside, I don't remember tremendously because I think I went AFK for a little bit, and so I'm not exactly clear. But they went through the police department, which was kind of, there was like rubble and stuff. It was not in, there was nobody there really. It wasn't in good shape. And finally they heard like footsteps. And they finally did encounter something. And this thing seemed like straight out of Silent Hill. Like just kind of picture something really just kind of like a grotesque zombie-esque creature out of Silent Hill that's kind of just not making normal sounds and it's just kind of horrific. So they encountered that, and they had kind of a brief encounter with that. And while they're fighting it, somehow a baseball comes flying out of the sky. And I don't, like, apparently they were in an open area of the police department. I don't know, but a baseball slams into this creature's head and does like 5 damage. And that's the Sloopy special. There you go. They never expect it. So they end up taking down the creature, of course, because they were armed. I don't know why I say of course. This is Call of Cthulhu, but they take it out. And while they're in there, we are having our own trouble on the outside because we hear the sound of metal like scraping or grating. And so Sloopy's like, oh, maybe it's a farmer. I don't know why he thinks that, but there you go. And Arthur is not very convinced. And so Arthur wants to hide as it kind of gets closer. But Sloopy has no real fear of anything, so he has no reason to hide. So he's like, oh, you hide, I'll stay here. So the thing finally approaches, and it's basically... like... It's like the Don't Sue Us version of Pyramid Head. Pretty much. Like, it was a 9-foot tall thing covered in like a trench coat with bandages around its face, and you couldn't see its eyes, and it was dragging this giant battle axe behind it. It's the non-copywritten version of Pyramid Head. And so I think I may have temporarily forgotten that we were playing modern Call of Cthulhu and not 1920s Call of Cthulhu. Because Sloopy said, after the thing didn't respond, and after it swung the battle axe at Sloopy and Sloopy dodged it, Sloopy's response was, oh, you must be one of those Negroes. So I think I forgot that I was playing modern Call of Cthulhu, but then I had to run with it because Sloopy is just not, he's not a great guy. So at that point, I think I did shoot it with my shotgun. Oh, yeah. I was given the shotgun at some point. Oh, I was given the shotgun, like, after I lost my bat, I think. I think that was the consolation, was he gave me the shotgun. Because I had said I had shot something once. I had no points in any gun skills. In fact, my skill points were atrocious. Actually, everything about Sloopy was atrocious. Like, my dex was 8. My education was 10, because he has a bachelor's degree in communications. Con of 10, strength of 12, appearance 9, intelligence 12. His size was 17, because after his baseball career ended, he kind of went on a binge of Big Macs. And so then I was like, what am I going to put skill points in for Sloopy Dunbar? Like, he's not good at anything. But then I was like, it is a one-shot, so let's just min-max the stupid shit. So Spot Hidden is at 95, and Listen is at 95. But then I'm like, I'm just going to put points into Biology. And his Dodge is like a 36. I put points into throw because he did play on a Major League Baseball team, and track he's got some points in, and of course baseball bat was at 75 because he could sock some dingers. I'm saying he could, but obviously no firearm skill or anything like that. So he swung his battle axe again, and that time my dodge was not so good, so I got kind of slashed across, and that hurt for like eight damage. And then hold on. So then, like, I kept on shooting it, and Arthur kind of came out of hiding and tried to assist me, but not really. He was a bit late. He was a bit late to the party, unfortunately. So I got, like, picked up. Oh boy, he's got some hoodoo magic. And he like threw me through the police station doors, and so I'm on the brink of unconsciousness. It was not a good situation. And by this point, the others had defeated the creature, and I guess like Arthur, right? Arthur had come running into the police station behind me, and so I guess like the axe thing like just left. I'm not exactly sure what happened because we didn't encounter him again. But the med student kind of patched me up a little bit, and Rocky Charlie Chalk was he pretty much had to go, and since it was a one shot, even though it pretty much was a two shot. He's like, oh, I gotta go, so he just shot himself, and he died. Or that's what he said. I don't know if that's what actually happened. But he's like, I shoot myself. Adios. And, yeah, that's pretty much where we ended. We had found 2 plates. We found 2 plate-like objects. And, and they were each had something written on them. The first one said, through me you pass into the city of woe. Through me you pass into eternal pain. And the second one said, before me naught was created save things eternal, and eternal I endure. I know it sounds pretty epic, right? Well, that's because it's from Dante's Inferno. I think it's all from I believe it's all from the inscription above the door, the gate of hell. I think so. So yeah, we pretty much encountered Silent Hill, more or less. And Sloopy Dunbar was not meant for Silent Hill. That is for sure. So it took us a while to get running tonight because we kind of had to go through the whole character creation, and we had 2 new people. And character creation is somewhat quick for Call of Cthulhu, but not that it's not like Fate quick or anything like that. It does take some time, especially if you have new people. It's not like Shadowrun or anything, but it took us like an hour, I guess. So then, yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know. I had fun because I was playing Sloopy Dunbar. If I was playing a much more straight-faced character, a much more kind of serious character, yeah, it would have been interesting. I'm not, like, I don't think this one-shot really benefited in any way from being in modern times. We all had cell phones. Even Sloopy had, like, a track phone. But, of course, there was no signal because it's basically a horror movie. You don't get signal. And And then, like, really the only modern stuff we encountered was, like, the TV. Like, that was pretty much it. Everything else kind of could have worked in the 20s. So I found it kind of interesting he picked modern times for it. Like, it doesn't make really a difference at all. But, yeah. Unless you're really going to focus on being in modern times. But we're going to a small village. And in the 20s, there were police cars, there were shotguns, there were creepy churches. So there you go. Yeah, so this is my second time now that I've played Call of Cthulhu. And, yeah, I'm hoping at some point to be a part of something like... I just want somebody to run Beyond the Mountains of Madness or something, you know? Something kind of epic and sprawling. Maybe Beyond the Mountains of Madness is not the greatest, but it is one of the more acclaimed campaigns. Not that I don't appreciate one-shots, but like I've said always about one-shots, it's generally you know that they're one-shots. And so just kind of dumb shit tends to happen. I tend to do dumb shit. Like, I'm not sure if I could play Sloopy Dunbar through a campaign, but I guess you don't really play anybody through a Call of Cthulhu campaign, so... Yeah, so that was that. It was not a very long session. And I guess we didn't really accomplish that much. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah, there's not much else for me to say, I guess. You got to hear about Sloopy Dunbar and his adventures in not copyrighted Silent Hill. And so maybe this will continue when Ziggy returns from Paris. We're not exactly sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen next weekend. It's kind of all up in the air. Maybe I'll run something again, like a pre-written one-shot or something like that of Call of Cthulhu. Like something from the same guy that wrote Bryson Springs. Because Bryson Springs was really good. So maybe, but again, it's just the fact that you call it a one-shot. Shit's gonna go down. We're kind of in that mentality for the rest of our lives now. That's just what happens in our group. But maybe not. We do have a couple new people, so it's possible that I could run a one-shot without some batshit craziness. But I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. We'll see what happens. But all right. My name is Mang. This has been Roll Manging for I think he called it Meadowlake. Yeah. So alright, this was Roll Manging for Call of Cthulhu Meadowlake. And I guess I'll see you fine folks around.